Welcome to West Country Wanderings and welcome to another walk. Today we're having a wander in East Devon on part of the southwest coast path. I've arrived here in the beautiful town of Budleigh Salterton, somewhere we have been to before but not walking east from here. I did a walk from Exmouth to here and walked back along the railway track, so it's two separate videos, one of my lost railway walks. But today the sun is trying to get through, so we have a little bit of break in the cloud. It's been really grey for some days. Got a nice shingle beach down there. Let's go down on the beach first. I'll tell you some more about where we're going today. Now today's walk will take us from the town here of Budleigh Salterton in an eastward direction, heading towards the estuary of the River Otter, and then we're going to be striking up along that estuary towards a beautiful village called Otterton, where there is a mill, there's a little gift shop in there, that sort of thing. I'm not sure if it's open today. We'll be able to have a look around a bit of that. And we might pick up part of the railway line that once went north from Budleigh Salterton as well, just a little bit of it. It's not a lost railway walk one today though, and that went from here up to Tipton St John. There was a whole network of railways once in East Devon, all sadly long gone now. Just that stub, the branch down to Exmouth and stations at Axminster and Honiton, but that's about it. But yeah, here, nice shingle beach which is steeply raked, so we got the cliffs that go on there all the way round, so we're on the famous Jurassic coastline here, which is obviously prone to lots of erosion. And just in front of me I can actually see what looks like a remains of defences from the Second World War here. But yeah, all that sun is just nicely coming through. It is quite chilly today, it's only about 5 degrees, so yeah, hence I'm gloved up and rugged up with a scarf. But it's nice air here. And I just heard a council worker, I think he was from Exmouth based, he says I can understand why the residents here live longer apparently than in other places. They often live up into their 90s and beyond. Said one of the reasons for that is the air, and I think that's probably true, and also people getting out and about, more fresh air, and you've also got the hills here as well. But yeah, this is Second World War defences. It's like one of the pillbox that we've come across on the canal series here before. It is all locked up there, obviously very rusty parts to it there, but you can see the top there, and they've tried to protect it on top there further with pebbles from the beach, mixing that with cement. But yeah, you can understand why that would be a great lookout during the Second World War. Anyway, we're going to go up there. I'm not going to walk along all the pebbles there on the beach because it can be a little bit tiring over a period of time. So we're going to strike along here the path and then make our way across to the river estuary. Now looking back towards the town centre, this road here is known as Marine Parade. In case you're wondering what these strange objects are on the beach here, they're winches to pull the boats back up onto the beach because of the steepness of the gradient of the shingles there. This interesting structure here is actually created by the Reverend Wayne Grucock, who was Reverend at the Methodist Church. It was built up in 2020, and I think the idea is you take a large pebble from the beach and write a prayer on it. And as you can see, there are loads of inscriptions on top of the prayer cairn. I've never come across one of those before. It's absolutely fascinating. Well, it's good to see lots of flowers out on this boat here, commemorations boat. So I'm recording this in almost mid-February 2025. You can see some hebe there and some bellis. So this here is the Jubilee shelter where you can get coffees, teas and snacks, and sit on top of it as well. Oh yes, as the poster says, inside the shelter, welcome to Budleigh Salterton. Yes, and it is in an AONB, the East Devon area of outstanding natural beauty. So the high ridged beach here with the pebbles is caused by a natural phenomenon known as a longshore drift. I think the predominant waves and winds are going from west to east, and it rakes them up in that area. Further on the other end of the beach, you have the pebbles become a lot more flattened, and that is the remains of an ancient riverbed. I can't remember how many million years ago, possibly between 200 and 300 million years ago, but yes, that's by the cliffs there at the other side of what the town is. But so we're walking in this direction to something known as Otter Head, which is literally a spit of shingle where the river meets the sea. Now the red cliffs above me are actually made up of what is known as rhizocretions, which are literally mineral deposits of roots. You can see those lines down there. They're literally remains of plant roots going back some 245 million years ago to the Triassic period. So yeah, when plants are growing, of course, they extract water from the ground using their roots, but they also absorb minerals, and it's those mineral elements that we can see here. Now it's almost like going back to Brixham again. We've got remains of an old lime kiln here. Actually, this one isn't that old. It was built in 1801. Of course, the limestone was brought in by ships and then ground up to use to fertilise even the fields on the hinterland that we've come across previously on the Bude Canal. So I'm heading out towards Otter Head, which is literally just over there, but we will need to double back on ourselves because this is the Otter estuary here, which is made up of salt marsh and mudflats with lots of migrating birds. I'll put in a photo of the interpretation board here. You've got Setty's warbler, which can come round here, and Brent geese as well. So we're going to be heading over there to that footbridge shortly, and we'll be crossing over part of the mudflats that way as we make our way up the Otter estuary towards Otterton. But yeah, this is a fantastic spot. Let's just have a look down to see where the river meets the sea. So there's the spit of land known as Otter Head, made up entirely of pebbles, well, a bit of hard rock on the other side of it. You can just see the river coming down through there. And here we have the beautiful River Otter. Of course, it goes up to the town of Ottery St Mary here in East Devon, which is a nice market town. That's looking in the direction that we'll be walking later on today's walk. I love those line of pine or fir trees. I'm not sure which. Scots pine possibly, but yeah, they look very photogenic, don't they? That shape just there balanced above the river's estuary. So this is a really nice spot here. You can imagine it gets really popular. Well, there's actually a lot of dog walkers out in the warmer weathers. There is a car park here right at the end of Budleigh Salterton beach. Dogs are allowed it up till May. I can't remember when May. I think it might be 31st of May. But then there's banned then until end of September. But yeah, you can just see the expanse of it. And there's lots of gulls over there in that direction as we head up towards the river. So we're going to continue on here, rejoin the coast path, which is say we'll be going across the footbridge there. It's really nice and bracing here, and it's just a fantastic air, and a bit different to the walk I was doing a few days ago on Sunday on the Malvern Hills, which was, well, the whole thing was shrouded in mist and fog. You may have seen that one by the time you watch this one, but which it was, because it was so damp, the air was quite claggy. I do love the Malvern Hills, as you know, but the air was quite kind of almost like a congealing sensation when you're on the top of the hills. But here with the sea air and no mist or fog today, it's a lot more pleasant. Now the other thing about the Triassic period in this part of Devon, in terms of plants, now you remember that boat I showed you, and I said about the Bellis and Hebe all out in flower here in mid-February. Well, in Devon 245 million years ago, you didn't have those sort of plants. It was mainly ferns. that was occupying the area. So yeah, very, very different, and pine trees, so very, very different to the landscape that we're familiar with in Devon today. So there's the bridge, probably not the most beautiful of bridges, but it serves a useful purpose. The other side of the estuary over there, though, where the pine trees are, is out of bounds for nature reasons, to protect the migrating birds. So it's actually known as an intertidal habitat, and the wildlife area was created by both the Environment Agency and Clinton Devon Estates. They own a lot of land in both East Devon and Mid and North Devon as well. There's a great little bird hide, and you can sit there with a good pair of binoculars looking out at the migrating birds, including curlews and ringed plovers and black-tailed godwits. Actually, the bridge is very new, as it was opened by Lord Clinton himself in March 2024. So we're continuing along the footbridge now, which gives you both views that way across the Saltmarsh mudflats out towards the sea, and heading inland over there. So it's a great viewpoint to watch the birds, and it's great to have that facility there. As I say, it's only been owned less than a year, so I would imagine that the tourists and visitors, when they come down Easter and beyond, will be making good use of that as well. But we've got it to ourselves today as we make our way towards Otterton. Now, the River Otter actually rises in a village called Otterford, not here in Devon, but in Somerset, which is quite a way. And yes, it actually goes through the Blackdown Hills, making its way through the aforementioned Ottery St Mary and down through this part of East Devon. The causeway I'm walking on actually was built in the early 1800s to reclaim part of the land from the salt marsh and to use it partially for agricultural purposes. Now, one of the birds you might be able to see from these bird hides dotted along the footpath are curlews, and they actually come to migrate here on the Otter estuary all the way from Scandinavia, where of course it's much colder. It's pretty cold here today, but not as cold as probably what it is in the Scandinavian countries. As we approach Otterton, already the nature of the Otter estuary is changing. Less mudflats now, more reed beds. Now we have a choice coming up because there's a bridge coming up, and you can actually walk up the River Otter either side to get to Otterton. And I think what I'm going to do is cross over the bridge, follow it up that side, the right hand side, and then I'm going to do the return trip, come the other way to get some different views and shots for you. You can already see that the river has got a lot narrower and less tidal, much less tidal range at this point here. Actually, I've decided to do it the other way, so we're going to follow the footpath directly off, and then probably, if I've got time, go and see if I can go around Ladram and come back on the coast pathway here. Actually, there's a shop down there, Pines. I think they've got a large shop, farm shop, just off the M5 at Bridgewater in Somerset, if memory serves. But anyway, East Budleigh this way, Otterton, 1.5 miles. Now, off to my left, your right of the screen at the moment, is a managed wetland, I do believe. So it's deliberately got the grooves in it to make it a wetland. So that would have been fields originally. So it's now been put into a managed wetland habitat to attract the migrating birds and improve the biodiversity and the environmental status of this area, because it is protected. Also, of course, we're in the AONB as well. Here's our river now, and I think that bridge there possibly marks the tidal range or tide limit of the Otter, because it doesn't look like it is very tidal at this point. So that's possibly the furthest extent between that bridge and where it meets the sea, full tidal range. But it's taken on a completely different dynamic now as we make our way up to Otterton. I think I'm safe to take my chin strap off the hat now. It was a bit blowy back there on the coast, of course, which it usually is on coastal places. But it's nice just chilling out here. Although it is a little bit chilly today, once you get moving and walking, it's absolutely fine. And we have had that little bit of sun breaks coming through, though it's got a little bit cloudy now. We have struggled with the weather, haven't we, during January and February? I know it is winter, but it's been particularly rough with storms and wet weather. Well, the footpath splits at this point, so that's where we've come from there, following the line of the Otter River estuary. We're going to head this way to take us on to Otterton, but you can actually walk back to Budleigh Salterton that way, which is another opportunity. So I might do kind of a combination of the two. I'll see how we go for timings later on. So this is known as Clammer Bridge, and that's an alternative way to Otterton. So you can go across that footbridge and up the bank and through the gates there, which I think is the Clinton estate there, but there's a not exactly a right of way, permissive path, that's the one I'm looking for, which is also a cycleway. Although, word of warning, it does get hillier if you do use that route on the approach to the village. Now the line of the trees there, over the other side of the field, you might be able to see a ridge. Yes, you're ahead of me. It's the railway line, that ran from Budleigh Salterton up to the railway junction at Tipton St John. Might just be able to see a bus coming up there, and it's just going over the railway bridge, taking it over the line of the railway. Now just hidden by the tree there, I think that is the site of Otterton Station on the Budleigh to Tipton St John line. Tipton St John, then there was another branch down to the town of Exmouth, a lovely East Devon town, somewhere I'm planning to go to in the not too distant future. Have a look at that there. But yeah, so I think that's the site of the former station. I think part of it looks like it has been restored, although the monument, you might be able to make out a monument just there, that is on the edge of Bicton Park, where there is a college as well as gardens and a miniature railway that runs through the gardens. Again, somewhere I do hope to visit. It's all these places, isn't there, in the West Country? There's so many places to visit and explore. Now we've arrived at Otterton. This is the bridge that takes the main road into the village, and the mill's just the other side. I think I'm going to stop there for some lunch. Well, I'm here at Otterton Mill. Since I last time here, they've now got an outdoor kiosk as well, so you don't have to go into the cafe restaurant bit. And because it's nice and dry today, I thought I'd make use of the picnic tables that are outside, adjacent to the car park here. And of course, we've got the River Otter again. So I've got a lovely coffee here, got a cappuccino. So really friendly guy on the kiosk there. I told him the walk I was doing, and he said it's a great walk with the cliffs. So I'm looking forward to going up to Ladram in a bit. That's really nice coffee, really good. And because doing the walk, I thought I'd treat myself to a gluten-free cake. Now I think it is a caramel and chocolate. Well, it's like Rice Krispies, so yeah, looking forward to eating this in a bit. I won't, you don't want to see me eating because I'll probably make a mess, so you're going to see that. I'm going to have that off camera, but yeah, it's lovely here. It's now open 7 days a week, I think, right throughout the year. Check the website obviously for full details. It might close up on really inclement days, so if you're coming from Budleigh, it makes a convenient stopping off point, because you could just walk to the mill and have a look around the village and head back, or carry on up to Ladram and then go around the coastway. But I'm going to kind of do a bit of a mixture of both, because obviously I'm a little bit short time because I've got to get back to Gloucestershire, but I do have enough time to hopefully be able to go over towards Ladram to have a look at that. But yeah, it's really, really nice here. I'll see you in a bit. Well, I hope you enjoyed that little montage of the journey between Otterton village and here at Ladram Bay, which is, well, it's a large kind of holiday park. I'll talk to you more about that sign in a minute because I've got a connection to that. It will be revealed. So yeah, Otterton Mill, there's a sign there, it says that it's built a mill there on that site, not the existing building, a mill on that site though, for 1,000 years. Now, incredibly underneath it says that it's the 18th oldest business in the entire world. Well, that's incredible. I'm not sure how they come to work that out, but it's certainly old. And they still grind corn and wheat there for flour, for bread, which they produce there. So that you can buy that in the shop there. As I say, it's got a great kiosk there, which is open most days. And when the kiosk is closed, you should be able to grab something to eat or drink in the cafe there and sit by the water wheel, which is kind of in the building. I did get a shot of it, but it's kind of dark with a little slot there. So we walked up then, I went round by the church and followed the lanes round. There was clip-clop you might be able to hear in some of the clips there, excuse the pun, because there was lots of horse riders around. It's a great place for horse riding because some of those lanes were car free, which is great, and one of them, just I forgot the name of it, comes out the side of the Ladram Bay holiday park here. Now, what about this sign? Well, the sign is for the David Bellamy Conservation Border. Do you remember David Bellamy? Well, I certainly do. I used to work for, yes, the Cornwall Wildlife Trust, and I was the receptionist, and later on I became their events manager. Well, while I was a receptionist, one day I took a phone call that came into the office at Allett there, just outside the city of Truro in Cornwall, and this voice appeared on the phone. I thought, I know that voice. And if you remember David Bellamy, I'm not going to do impersonation of him, but if you remember David Bellamy, he had a very, very distinctive voice. And one of the things he was very passionate about in this part of the southwest, the West Country, was land encroachment by holiday parks encroaching right up to the cliffs. And he was very concerned about that from a conservation perspective. And the conversation that I had with him, he was asking me about a couple of sites that were near a couple of the wildlife trust reserves that the Cornwall Wildlife Trust have. And I then passed him on to one of the wardens, nature wardens. I had a really interesting chat with him though. But if you see here, you have this border. So there's the cliff edge there. And you see that the development is there. So there's a gap between the two. They could have built it further out to there, but that wouldn't be great for the birds or indeed the wildlife. Also not great for the cliff rockfalls. In fact, the coast path at this point beyond here, so if you want to go on further to the east from here, Ladram Bay, at the moment you can't, so you have to go on a diversion because there's been a large rockfall down there, so you can't go on that way at the moment. However, we can carry on this way on the coast path, the southwest coast path, which I'm sure most of you will be familiar with from various videos on YouTube and bits and pieces I've done, and Louise has done on Southwest Sundays. We'll follow on that for a bit, following a bit of the cliff there, and then we're going to tuck in to rejoin the original route of our line back following the River Otter Valley and River Otter Estuary. I'm on the southwest coast path now, heading back towards Budleigh Salterton. Really enjoying the walk. I'll insert some other footage now which I've been taking on my telephoto lens, because that's the best way you can appreciate the cliffs and rocks really, because they're obviously using a wide angle lens I'm using at the moment. It'll look too small, but you get more impact using the telephoto. And there's a couple of giant stacks just down there, so see if I can get a couple of shots of those now. I've never actually been to Ladram Bay before. I've been to Otterton a few times, and I know Bicton Park and the college there, but never been to Ladram and the coastline here, which is really, really dramatic, and it really shines off the Jurassic coastline at its very best. Now these stacks here certainly are very, very impressive. They actually remind me of some that I've seen in the Algarve in Portugal. They have a very, very similar appearance to it. I imagine that the underlying geology was the same. But obviously that was the cliff originally, and then it was gradually eroded away, became an arch. Well, you've probably seen at Durdle Door and Thurleston Rock here in South Devon, which I did a video about towards the end of last year. And of course the arch then collapses, and then you're just left with these stacks. Over there, just on the other side, is the town of Exmouth, and above the town there is Salcombe Regis, which has a donkey sanctuary, I do believe, and again that's an area we're certainly going to be exploring at some future point here on West Country Wanderings. Let's continue with our walk here on the cliff path. And just in the field here, as I'm rounding the hill to look back at the coastline, you can actually see some erosion in the field. You've got some subsidence. The land is actually slipping down, even though we're probably, well over 100 metres from the cliff edge at this point. You can see it's starting to slip away. Now with that stunning view behind me, we're going to say goodbye to the coast for the moment until we return back to Budleigh Salterton and head inland. So we're going to cut across this field here, make our way over to where, well, there's a building, there's a farmstead up there and some hills. No, trees. that way you can carry on with the coast path. You can follow that way all the way back to Budleigh Salterton, although it is quite a longer route. I think it's about another 2 miles longer, and there is a little bit of uphill down Dell. I would like to do that, but unfortunately I need to catch a train to get back home. I'm not too sure what the last buses are like from Budleigh to Exmouth to get my train, and also of course it gets dark at well, about 5:30 at the moment. It's just coming up to 3 o'clock here, so I'm going to cut across that way, and we will definitely return to the delights of the Jurassic coast in future videos here on West Country Wanderings, and definitely to the town of Sidmouth, which I really like. So I'm now on a slightly different route heading back to Budleigh Salterton. I kind of bypassed Otterton, so I haven't gone back into the village this time. I'm on a trackway called Lee Lane. So what I'll do, I'll insert a shot of the map now, but I'll also link to this route if you wish to do it yourself in the description of today's video, like I do with my Cotswold Walks ones as well. So we'll certainly be doing some more walks in Devon and Cornwall this year, so that'll be the usual procedure. So it links you to the OS map. If you don't subscribe to the OS, it'll give you a basic map so you can see the outline of the route, but if you own the map and you own it digitally and it's downloaded to your phone or computer, then obviously it'll bring up the full details for subscription. But yeah, you'll get the idea, the details, and as I'll put in photographs of the map as well. But yeah, it's a really nice walk, and obviously it's traffic free along this lane. Obviously it's probably one of Devon's ancient green lanes, and when I lived in Totnes there was loads of them, and they were like really deep set into the landscape, and this one's got fairly high banks on it as well, with Devon hedging on both sides of it. So we're now on this tarmacked lane, as you can see, very quiet. I think it just literally goes to a barn, and then we go up to a place called Collerton or Colliford Cross, I can't remember. I'll put it in the map again now, and when we get to that we're going to turn right, and that'll take us to that first of the 2 footbridges, which we can cross over there, but I think I might stay on the right hand side of the River Otter, because we went up the left hand side till we got to the second footbridge, which was the first footbridge that I showed you. But it'll all make sense, don't worry. But yeah, it's just lovely here in the East Devon countryside. The distinctive rolling hills and the red soil all around us. It is wonderful, and it's a really pleasant day now, and there's no wind here at all because we're in a little bit of a sheltered dip. And I think the temperature's increased since it was quite a chilly morning. I think it's probably gone up about 3 or 4 degrees since we set off this morning from Budleigh Salterton. So we now come back to our original route. So we were up there in the woods, coming down from the Warren there through Otterton Park, part of the Clinton estate. To say it's a permissive right of way, which is also used by cyclists. And we're just about to come up to the River Otter again, so a complete circuit around. It's been a really, really nice walk. What I'm going to do though is I'll head down to the beach to close the video off down there in Budleigh, and then see if I can do a bit of some shots of the town itself. But yeah, so Otter Estuary officially starts here, so I did think that, so I thought, yeah, this bridge is like a demarcation line, if you like, between the tidal section and the not tidal. So that's looking back towards Otterton, where I had that coffee and a very, very lovely cake. And this way, of course, is back down to the tidal section of the river, which takes it right out to sea, which is down that way. Well, here we are back in Budleigh Salterton, the beach behind me there. Just about an hour's daylight left now, so I need to go off and catch a bus back to the town of Exmouth and train home. Train to Exeter and then train home. But yeah, I've really enjoyed my day here in East Devon. Certainly be back again, definitely to do Sidmouth. I think you can catch a bus from Exmouth as well. They're every hour to Sidmouth, or you can catch a train to Honiton from Exeter and get a bus that way. So there's a couple of options that way. I put in the details of the bus that I caught from Exmouth today, so if you live in kind of West Devon and Cornwall and want to come here, or you live in my part of the world, Somerset, and then further north, and you want to come down to this part of East Devon for a walk, I can highly recommend it. Otterton Mill is very good for coffee and food, so that's excellent. Lots of scenery. Of course, you've got the amazing Jurassic coast. Apologies, I didn't have enough time to continue on the walk coastal way all the way from Ladram Bay, but yeah, that is worth doing. But obviously you need to be prepared that it is quite a bit longer and a bit more strenuous as well, which didn't have enough time to do today. I would need to stay in this part of the world to do that one and have a little bit more daylight as well. So that's it for this walk here in East Devon today. We will be back again, as I say, to this part of the world again very soon. Please drop a comment if you have been to this area, enjoyed this area, got memories of coming on holiday here. I'd love to hear from you. If you've got your own walks in this area as well, that'd be great too. Till next time on West Country Wanderings, hope to see you on the channel again very, very soon. All the best for now. Cheers. Bye bye.